Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Thursday, February 13th, 2025, Douglas County Homeless Initiative. I'd like to welcome you, obviously, to a wonderful year full of a lot of exciting new report outs and certainly vision for the future in terms of the Homeless Initiative. But let's start with introductions, maybe starting here on my left.
I'm Sean Sanchez with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. I'm currently reintegration, but I brought Jill Duffy, who's going to be taking over the reintegration deputy position.
Jill Duffy, going to be starting the reintegration deputy position.
Wonderful. Well, welcome.
Mike Hill, Douglas County Health Department.
Darren Weekly, Douglas County Sheriff.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Darcy Coleful. I'm the Assistant District Attorney in the new 23rd.
Woohoo.
Hi, good morning. Sasha Easton, Director of Arapahoe Douglas Works.
Good morning, Dan Marlowe, Health and Hope Center.
Hi, Kirsten Swanson, Executive Director at Douglas County Community Foundation.
Good morning, everybody. Erin White with Manna Resource Center.
Good morning, Ruby Richards with Douglas County Human Services.
Abe Layden, Commissioner.
Jennifer Eby, Douglas County Community Services.
Great.
Tiffany.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Tiffany Marcito, Heart
I
Team.
can't skip over you. Jeez.
Jeff Garcia, County Attorney.
Zoe Laird, Senior Assistant County Attorney.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And let's just check online. Anybody online want to introduce themselves?
Sure, I'll jump in. Paulo Diaz, new CEO for Family Tree. Thank you.
Wonderful. Welcome. Okay. Anybody else online going once? Okay. Well, welcome again, everyone. We have a pretty robust agenda. We're going to go through first our January 2025 point in time update, which I know we're all anxiously excited to hear about how that went on the 27th. We'll have an immigration update. We'll do a legal update with Jeff Garcia, our county attorney. JD 23 introduction. We're so excited to have Darcy here, the assistant district attorney, presenting for JD 23. We're going to talk a little bit about the Help and Hope contribution. Then we'll have an executive committee member update, a heart update, a brief public comment, and then closing comments. So let's get right into it with Rand Clark, our 2025 point in time.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Rand Clark from the Department of Community Services. On the night of January 27th, we conduct our annual point in time count. I want to take a moment as we begin just to express our gratitude and thanks to all of those that participated, especially the members of our heart team, our partners in law enforcement at the Sheriff's Office, as well as our jurisdictions with Castle Rock and with the town of Parker and the city of Lone Tree, and then also our nonprofit partners who engage with residents who are also unhoused and working and supporting and helping collect this count. I'm happy to share with you the data that was collected by our heart team and by our nonprofit partners and submitted for this point in time. On the night of this operation, I guess it started at sundown on Monday night, the 27th, and lasted for 48 hours. So we look at about a 48-hour window of kind of a hard hit of getting folks out there and conducting our operation and conducting, completing those surveys. During that time, I am pleased to report that we saw a total of 6 people sleeping unsheltered outside. We counted 25 individuals sleeping in their vehicles, and we counted 32 people that were sleeping in shelter or in some type of temporary housing situation like a transitional housing or a time-limited housing. That's a total of 63. For those of you who would like the math put in front of you. That represents a 21% decline in overall homelessness from last winter. If you recall, in the summertime, we conduct a similar count, and that number of 6 people unsheltered outside is exactly the same as what we saw last summer. And so we have seen those gains over the course of the years as a result of our heart and continue to see continue to sort of see that hold steady. Did see a slight increase in those who were in their vehicles, and most of our gains were in those who were in shelter, we did not have as many people in our shelter environments. That would include programs, just so you have context, programs like Goals, programs like Douglas County Cares, some people that were in hotel vouchers paid for by nonprofit agencies, and then the crisis center for those that were in their shelter that night. And so those are the numbers that have been submitted to MDHI. We do this in coordination with our regional partners as required by the Federal Housing Department of Housing and Urban Development. Those numbers are submitted to MDHI. They go through a process to verify the data, clean that data up. We submitted a couple surveys for people that slept in Arapahoe County, and so they take those kinds of things into account, that sort of regional effort. And then our numbers are formalized and made official, typically sometime late spring, early summer. We'll see those around, but that's the data that we did submit from Douglas County, from our HEART team, and from our partners to MDHI. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and we will happy to talk about anything related to those numbers or what we saw as best we can today. So, Commissioner.
Well, Rand, thank you for that. And that is no light lift to do that count on the 27th. So how about a huge round of applause for Rand and the team?
It really is the team. Thank you very much. They do a great job. They make my life easy now. In fact, we did a debrief yesterday, and I think it was it Greg? I think it was Greg that even said, one of our navigators said, we have this down pat. We know what we're doing now. It's so much easier than it was the very first one he did. And so the team is wonderful, and they put in a lot of hard work and work a lot of late nights and early mornings that week to pull this off. So the thanks goes to the ones that were out there doing it. So
awesome. And for those online, if you can't see in the back, the superstars of the homeless initiative, the HEART team, are right in the back. Hey guys, thank you for being here. And thanks for that count. What questions do we have for Rand about the point in time? So I'm fascinated by the fact that, normally in the January point in time, you have a lot more people that are out and about. So the fact that we are at or below where the count was at in the summer is pretty significant. What do you attribute that to?
Yes, there's a slight decrease from the summertime, which is even better. I think there's two things. Weather always plays a factor. It's a positive and negative, and it's a roll of the divine dice of what the weather's going to be like leading up to the count, and actually the night of the count. I'm going to share a story. I'm not going to steal Tiffany's thunder for today, but I'll probably steal a story that she was going to share in the future. We had a gentleman, just to give you an example, who's been in Parker unhoused, living along the creek beds and under the bridges there, that we've known about him for many years now. And if you recall, right before the point in time, we had that really, really deep cold spell over the 3-day weekend. We had those 4 days of just really frigid, awful temperatures. And during that time, the HEART was able to reach out to this gentleman and offer him a hotel voucher. The last thing we wanted was for him to, be impacted negatively physically because of the cold weather. And he took us up on that offer. And honestly, thanks to the work of one of the deputies, struck up a conversation. And for some reason, that hotel voucher at that time, after 2.5 years, opened up a door of conversation. This guy opened up to the deputy and talked about sort of his dreams and his goals and what he wanted to do and where he's come from. And ultimately that was to go back to New York. And he wanted to kind of go back and try to change his life around. I don't know why, but something related to that cold weather night, a 1.5 weeks before the point in time, this gentleman said, I'm ready to change. And so we put him up in a hotel. HEART followed up with him the next morning. Deputies were there. We're able to get him a bus ticket to go where he wanted to go, back on the East Coast, back to New York, where he could kind of live out some of his dreams and what he wanted for himself. Next morning, HEART team got there, gave him a ride up to that bus station, made sure he's on his bus. Tiffany talked to him a few days later after it's a pretty long bus trip across the country on a Greyhound, made sure he was there, and he was there and happy and settled. And so sometimes it's just little things like that, right? It's the cumulative effect of our HEART team reaching out to folks. This is a gentleman that was counted in the summertime. He was counted last year in the wintertime. But this year, because of a couple of nights of cold weather, something changed. And there's probably lots of stories like that, right? Where just on any given night, that's just a little bit different. And sometimes we have the great benefit and joy of kind of being there for somebody in that moment where they're ready for help, and we can connect them. And it brings, I think it renews our spirit with the whole team to see those kinds of successes. And we didn't count him this year because he was in New York and he was where he wanted to be. He was able to sort of get to where he wanted with his life and take those next steps.
Yeah, that is so inspiring. And, I think the power and the magic of what you all do is It's not an overnight success. And we lead with compassion in the homeless initiative. And each of you provides and offers the dignity of knowing somebody's name and getting to know them on a personal level. And that relationship building over time, you never know. I mean, those last 6, I don't know why it's 6. We got to work on that 6 number.
What's interesting is,
Yeah.
I will say this, we've looked at those 6, and it's a different 6 from the summertime.
Totally different 6.
Totally different 6. And so part of it is, I think, some of what we face in Douglas County, and we're just beginning to dig a little bit deeper. So I'm seeing it at the surface level. But it is there, we live on a transportation corridor with rails and with I-25. And there's, of the total of 31 that were either in their vehicle or outside, initially it looks like there was only a handful that were here last summer. And so I think there is just this movement of people in and out and through our community, and on every given night, somebody's coming through town on their way somewhere. And so I think the real effort and the work of heart is connecting with those people, helping them get to where they want to be, helping them get to their destination or be where they, be where they want to be, and not turning in I think it was last month, Tiffany shared the numbers from last year, over 300 people that they served. Keeping that 300 down to 6 is the effort of the heart, because there is just sort of that churn of people coming through our community on a daily basis, making their way up and down the I-25 corridor, and connecting them now here with those services and helping them get to services and not getting stuck, I think, is a really important part of the work we do.
Wow. Well, again, congratulations. Really great work. Any additional questions on the point in time? Okay, moving on to the immigration update. I think, is it Jeff? That may be the legal update. Who's doing immigration?
Do you want to start us off, Sheriff?
Yeah, I'll cover that topic. So the state of Colorado clearly, due to actions from our state legislature over the last 15 years or so, Colorado has solidified itself as a sanctuary state. I'm holding in my hand a handful of bills or laws now that have passed. And not only have they passed laws, but they've also repealed other laws that required law enforcement to notify federal immigration authorities. Colorado law enforcement officers, their power is vested by the laws of the state of Colorado. Colorado peace officers have zero authority to enforce federal immigration laws. However, if we have somebody that is in this country illegally and they commit a criminal violation of Colorado law, that enables Colorado law enforcement officers to take action and, if deemed necessary, to make a custodial arrest. If you go to the DC Sheriff website, dcsheriff.net, you will see on our homepage at the top there's a navigation bar for the inmate demographics of my jail. Currently, right now, I have about 375 inmates in my jail. As of yesterday, was last time I checked, I have 20 inmates in my jail that currently have ICE detainers on them. I think there was 8 from Mexico, 8 from Venezuela, 1 from Peru, 1 from Chile, 1 from Russia, and then there was 1 of unknown status. I cannot hold people on ICE detainers. I can only hold them on criminal violations. So if they post bond, if their sentence is completed, I cannot even delay their arrest. However, since November, ICE has started to come and pick these folks up. However, ICE is obviously, we've all seen the headlines. They're tied up with other people they're looking for right now that are more hardcore criminals that are still out in our community. And so the authority of local law enforcement is very limited in communication. However, again, ICE is fully aware of my homepage. The inmates that I have in my custody, who's in my jail, is public information. And so you can go to my website and see who's in there, so can ICE. And so we do have those within Colorado law. I'm not breaking the law, but within the law, we do have an open communication pipeline with ICE. And so I fully expect that they are going to picking up more of these individuals. I've had conversations with the district attorney's office, and they are going to look at things on a case-by-case basis, depending on the charges that these people are in the jail for. Obviously, if they're in the jail for murder or sexual assault or a more serious offense, they're gonna go through the criminal justice process, and they may end up doing time either in my jail or in state prison before they are deported. Some of the lower level offenses, the district attorney's office may choose to just dismiss the charges if they're being picked up and deported by ICE. Again, they'll make those calls, not me. And so again, I just need to stress that we are obeying the law 100%, but our authority to intervene or be part of federal immigration law is, for the most part, against the law.
It's really helpful. And, I want to tie it into the conversation we're having around homelessness, but no doubt the sanctuary state and sanctuary city laws that were passed several years ago have led to, north of 40,000 Venezuelan migrants coming to the area to a cold weather climate without a plan. And as it stands, the state has spent close to $436 million on illegal immigration and is about $1 billion in the hole. And now we're hearing about cuts to childcare, kids with developmental disabilities. Obviously, Ruby's office, many offices are facing some really significant budget shortfalls as a result of prioritizing illegal immigration. We've taken a very strong stance on that here in the county. Our citizens support that. We always want to be compassionate. I am the first Latino commissioner elected in Douglas County. I recognize the plight of those seeking asylum. That said, we have often heard that those who are impacted the most are legal immigrants. When we prioritize and fund illegal immigration, it's really impacting those who go through the right channels and become documented and they're paying taxes and doing the right thing. So it is a challenge, but Sheriff, how would you connect this to the homeless initiative?
Well,
and maybe part of the challenge is you're not really getting the information you need to know how many illegal immigrants are in our community that are unhoused and unsheltered and maybe needing some.
Well, and that's where we can make contacts with individuals, depending on what the type of call for service is. I mean, obviously, if folks, it's not against the law to be homeless, but if we do make those contacts, they're in this country illegally, and through the process of identifying the individual, if we have probable cause or reasonable suspicion to do that, that may reveal the ICE detainer. But again, we have to have that criminal nexus for our law enforcement to do anything at all. And so it's difficult. The state of Colorado has made it difficult. I'll share with you Senator Mark Baisley, our own senator from Douglas County. He and Representative Max Brooks from Castle Rock, and then Representative Richardson, they are trying to pass a bill, Senate Bill 2547, which would begin the process for repealing some of these mandates. And again, this only repeals some of them. There is a very long way to go. I don't know that this bill is going to pass with the makeup of our current state legislature, but again, it's a process to do it. 2547 targets criminal migrants, not people trying to make a better life for themselves, not single moms, not we all know the difference of people that are trying to make a better life for themselves, as opposed to those who are part of transnational criminal organizations that have come up here to do harm to people and to hurt people and to burglarize people. Those are the people that we as law enforcement are targeting, not people trying to make a better life for themselves. And I've fielded a lot of calls over the last several months about a lot of misinformation that's out there. And whether that be, ICE is going to be going into schools and, churches to find kids, it's ridiculous. It's fear mongering. ICE has no interest in doing that. We've had communications with ICE. Nobody wants that visual. What we're looking for is criminals that are harming American citizens. And nobody is more affected by that than the migrant community who are victimized by those migrant criminals because they are that much more hesitant to contact law enforcement because they do fear being deported if they contact law enforcement. So we're zeroing in to the best that we can on those committing crimes, and that benefits the community, that keeps people safer. But in terms of the nexus to the homeless initiative, it's just one, it's a challenge. It's all a challenge. And case by case, our heart teams go out there every single day trying to make a difference. And they've problem solve with whatever problem is in front of them throughout the county. And there's a myriad of issues that they are solving day in and day out. And the migrant crisis is one of them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm sure everyone has seen the reports about legal immigrants, Asian Americans that are being targeted. And, you know, traditionally in Asian American culture, at least within our community, there's a sense of mistrust with the banks. And so they oftentimes will keep a lot of cash and jewelry and property right there in their homes. And that's just part of the culture that we've been educated about. Well, the bad guys know that. And so these homes are being targeted and ransacked, particularly in my district, in District 1, right near Lone Tree. And so, you know, that nexus with illegal immigration, people that are in desperate times needing some kind of cash just to survive, may be breaking into these homes to just get a leg up. So I think, yeah, Dan, did you have an additional? Yeah. Dan Marlowe.
Sheriff, I'm just wondering if you have any advice for agencies. There's a lot of communication going around right now about how to deal with ICE if ICE shows up at your agency, that kind of thing. And it's the advice I'm seeing is not great advice as far as I'm concerned. So do we have anything, or is there any plan to sort of make a homeless initiative statement for agencies on what to do if ICE shows up?
I have a different perspective on this, but I suggest you cooperate with ICE. If you find yourself trying to obstruct a federal law enforcement officer, you're going to find yourself on the wrong side of the law. I will tell you that, and I just don't know how to get this across. ICE is not looking for a lot of the folks that you may be trying to help. They're looking for hardcore criminals. They're looking, like I said, I have 20 people in my jail. They're waiting to be picked up, you know, again, because they've committed crimes and they're in my custody. I don't believe, my opinion, I don't believe ICE is going to be showing up at a nonprofit trying to rouse people and round people up. I just don't think that is the objective of what they are trying to do. But I've seen some stuff in the news about Denver Public Schools trying to get a restraining order, and then just a lot of the nonsense that I have seen about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You know, we had Mayor Johnston saying that he was going to have a Tiananmen Square moment. From my experience and from the people that I know within the federal government, that is not going to end well for them, period. And so if you are trying, especially if you're getting federal funds for your nonprofit and you try to obstruct ICE agents, kiss those federal funds goodbye. And it's, I think we've seen with the Trump administration that they will not hesitate to do that if that's a problem. So federal immigration authorities, federal authorities, they're not going to be doing a SWAT operation and breaking down your door. And it's just, I just think it's a lot of fear mongering. I really do. I truly do. They're not here to hurt people. They're here to keep American citizens safe and restore law and order.
Additional questions?
I think we have one online.
Yeah. Is there somebody online with a question?
Sorry, yes. Can you hear me? This is Nicole with Cherry Hills Manicare Food Pantry. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Nicole.
Okay. I was just wondering how many peripheral arrests are happening for nonviolent criminals. I just heard you say that there aren't raids really happening, but how many peripheral arrests have happened or are happening for nonviolent criminals in ICE activities that are searching for the actual violent criminals?
That's a good question, Sheriff. How many arrests for nonviolent? Nicole, do you want to repeat that question a little bit louder?
Yeah, sure. How many peripheral arrests are happening for nonviolent criminals in ICE activities that are searching for the violent criminals?
I don't have those numbers. You'd have to contact ICE. But in Douglas County, most likely if you commit a criminal offense, you're going to jail. And so we want criminals to know if you commit a crime in Douglas County, you can expect a custodial arrest. Now, as far as peripherals that are being arrested on these ICE roundups, I have no idea. There have not been any roundups in Douglas County.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole, for that question. Additional questions? Okay. I do have a question of heart. I'm wondering, just, out there on the ground when you're interacting with folks, are you seeing an impact from immigration?
We are not. When we do come across a family or an individual who they want asylum resources, we definitely refer them to the Denver Immigration Services so they can get their documents in the proper way. But there are not a lot of contacts that we see on a monthly basis.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, thank you. So with that, we'll move on to our legal update from Jeff Garcia. Jeff?
Commissioner. And you were right. I actually do have an immigration update. A lot of the things we're going to talk about is about immigration and some of the things that are going on at the federal level that impact us here. One of the requests that I had from the commissioner was for us to talk about the executive orders and federal funding and how that's going to impact the work of individuals here. But before I touch on that, I really want to commend our sheriff, because I speak with all of the county attorneys around the state, and they ask the question, like, how far can we go? What can we do to cooperate? What can't we do? And what Darren is doing is at a level that no one else is doing. He is really the trendsetter as far as informing the federal government, helping individuals, and not impeding the work. So I just want to commend him so much. And he talked about several laws that are impeding his work right now. I want to remind the group that the county attorney's office in Douglas County has filed lawsuits against those laws. We are currently in an appellate court to challenge those laws, and we have future action on a preemption from the federal government on those laws as well. And we do believe, based on statements from the current AG, Bondi, that there will be either a statement from her office or from legislature saying that those kind of sanctuary city laws that encourage individuals to come to unsafe situations or impede returning people to their nation of origin is illegal. So it's preempted by federal law, and we believe that our lawsuits will actually bring in some of that federal support. So let's move into what we actually talked about. So executive orders and federal funding, because so many of the things that we talk about, housing, human services, those are federally funded organizations. Those are funds that flow through the state from the federal government and then to the local government. So let's move forward. One slide, please. I don't have a clicker. So since January 20th, the president has signed 59 executive orders, not counting his appointments and his rescinding of prior administration orders. The two big ones that are going to affect this group that we're talking to right now is the creation of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and Immigration and Border Security. The DOGE stuff comes up because there's going to be cutbacks in staffing. We've seen that already. They've talked about it. Federal government is going to reduce staffing, and it will affect some of the agencies that we work with, housing, human services. They will be less there, and hopefully it'll be more efficient with clearer policies. But I do think that the change will affect just efficiency over a period of time until we understand and adopt the new policy. The other one is that there will be funding changes to some of the organizations that pass through funds to us. So housing was one that definitely comes up in this group, but also with the immigration and border security, maybe one of the sources of homelessness in our country will reduce. And that would be ideal, that people are kept in safer environments and they're not put into the environments where they are homeless and in compromised circumstances. I'll just tell you anecdotally, I was in Denver this week for mediation, and there were people still camping in tents, and it was below zero, and the wind was rushing, and I was fully dressed to keep myself warm, and I was freezing. So I could not imagine what individuals who were in a tent that was blowing away felt like, but it was no way for anyone to be, and it was definitely not a safe situation. Let's move forward one more slide. So following the executive orders by the president on January 28th, the Office of Budget Management paused all federal funding to organizations that had any influence or effect on immigration, foreign aid, international environmental agreements, energy, or DEI initiatives. It did not affect things like SNAP, Medicare, or Social Security. There was an immediate filing of a lawsuit by 22 states, including the state of Colorado, and a Rhode Island judge temporarily halted that. There is some disagreement. The memo pausing funding to align policy has been rescinded, but the overall arching idea that government agencies are going to be funded when they comply with the executive orders of the president has not. So there are still delays going on. You may have read in the paper, I believe Colorado is asking for close to $500 million that has not been funded because they're out of alignment right now. The court says that its order applies to the broader policy and not just the memo, and there's some disagreement about that. There will be disagreement about that for several months, and there will be some delays in funding that I think everyone should expect. And Colorado, with its policies, as the sheriff has stated, will be affected by that. Let's move forward one more. In addition to that, the new AG Bondi has put a ban on federal funds from her agency to sanctuary cities. This has not been extended to states yet, and it is applying to cities and nonprofits only. But those are some significant grant dollars. That is grants for correctional funding, for public safety and criminal justice, for community policing. The state receives about $54 million, and then local governments within the state receive about another 20. Let's move forward one more. In of itself, it's not that that overarching have a big effect on this group. However, I do think it's important for several reasons. I don't think it will directly, explicitly affect Douglas County. We are not a sanctuary county. We're not a sanctuary city. We just happen to be in a state that has sanctuary laws. However, it has not been challenged yet, and this will likely become a roadmap that instead of this broad policy being adopted, individual agencies through their executive offices will pull back funding. So the Trump administration could say, housing, we're not going to put out pass-through funding until they comply with these, and the grant compliance may change. So this could be a roadmap to meet that bigger, broader goal. And I think we need to be very thoughtful about the trickle-down effect. So when Denver doesn't get its money for these projects that they use to address homelessness, those individuals will not be served and they may sprawl, right? They're going to look for funding and for support and services elsewhere. And that's where we'll have an impact on Douglas County. Let me move forward. I think I might have one more. Yeah. And so one of the other things is I think we all want to know what's going on at the local level. And one of the initiatives that the Douglas County Board of County Commissioners recently did was they've updated the restrictions on parking. So one of the key elements that they talked about was people sleeping in cars, and we have an expanded area of restricted parking right now. And working closely with the board and my office and the sheriff's office, we're looking at some restrictions on residential parking too. So we want to address all the issues and get hope and contact with everyone that we can as frequently as possible. And at the most local level, we are doing that through the parking restrictions. And that's all, unless anyone has questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff. Any questions for Jeff Garcia? Okay. Well, thank you, Jeff. Moving on to our really exciting Judicial District 23, an introduction and update from Darcy Kofel. Welcome, Darcy.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here. Tomorrow is our 1-month anniversary from being sworn in. And I've been going around and meeting, obviously, with all the law enforcement agencies, and hopefully they have seen a notable difference in the product that they're getting from our office. So I'm very excited about that. I'm just going to kind of take you through what our office looks like now and then talk about our problem-solving courts as well as competency court, which is something that we are big supporters of. So could I have the next slide, please? All right, so here's our new symbol from the 23rd that we are very, very excited about. Next. As you all know, we used to be part of the 18th, right? So that's what we used to look like in our nice sort of orangish hue there. And obviously that was a bigger office with more prosecutors and more investigators. And now we have, I think, done a good job of getting a lot of our really hard hitting prosecutors and investigators to come down to the new 23rd. Next. So we used to be the 18th, as I just said. Next. Thank you. So we used to have 90 prosecutors, and we had a much bigger support staff office. And like I said, I've been able to get many of those prosecutors to come down to the 23rd. Next. We had 230 total staff in the 18th. Next. But then on January 14th of 2025, we all got sworn in here, and I have a fantastic group. Next, please. And that's what we look like now. So obviously very excited that, we have great people that are going to give you a fantastic product here. Next. Thank you. And it's an interesting new, map that you can see, but obviously Douglas County is where most of our population is, although I've been told that Elbert is up and coming in terms of population growth. What we are doing is, obviously the majority of our prosecutors are here in Douglas, but we have 2 that are out in Elbert and 1 that is out in Lincoln. Next, please. This is our new symbol that you just saw. DA Brockler is very proud of it. And we now have 100 total staff. Next, please. 39 prosecutors. Next. We have 7 investigators, which is awesome. Those are just DA investigators that specialize in different things such as narcotics, and as well as SVU cases. Next. And I just want to take you through, for those of you that don't know how we are split up in our office, we have county court, which deals with all of our misdemeanor cases. You have great sort of younger prosecutors that come out of law school and they start in county court and they learn how to do the DUIs and learn on, obviously, charges that are not as serious as when you get to felony land. Next. District court is where all of those felonies are. And I'm going to go through our specialized unit, but this is the catch-all of all of those violent cases that come in, F6s through F1s, which are the first-degree murder cases. And we now have an extra courtroom. So we have 3 felony district courtrooms with 2 district attorneys in each of those courtrooms. Next, please. So these are our specialized units. Next. So this is one that is so close to my heart. This is our organized crime unit. And so prior to being your ADA and the senior chief in the 18th, I was the head of the organized crime unit since 2016, doing all things wiretaps, COCAs, which is our RICO statute, anything to do with organized crime. I'm very, very passionate about this, about getting narcotics, specifically fentanyl, off the street. And we have 2 awesome prosecutors that are part of our organized crime unit. So you will be seeing us working with our federal partners like DEA, like Safe Streets, FBI, to work on those cases that we might have venue here in our jurisdiction, but span outside. And we will also be a robust grand jury practice here, which I'm very excited about. Next. We also have a family violence unit. We have 4 individuals that are part of the family violence unit. They do all things DV and SVU for all of the sexually violent crimes. What is very exciting about this is that you have specialized prosecutors doing this, and they are high level, and they take those cases from start to the finish. Next. We also have our own juvenile unit now, which is great with specialized prosecution. That is a very niche part of prosecution that we have, and our head of that, Christine Rolfs, I think most of you have worked with. She is fantastic. And again, this is such an important part of our office. Next. We also have our own appeals unit, which I'm sure we'll be working with the county attorneys at some point. We have one fantastic chief there who I stole from the AG's office, and we're hoping to add another prosecutor in appeals as well. Next. So these are our judges that we have. We have 19. I think you have to press the button on this one. 8 in district, 6 in county, and 6 magistrates. Next. And this is sort of what I think is pertinent to us being here today. So we are very passionate about our problem-solving courts. Corey Kaler, our senior, is going to be the head of all of this, but we have other prosecutors that are really interested in the ones that we have right now. I know Judge Baum has been instrumental in getting these going, and I want to have prosecutors. We have 2 veterans that are prosecutors in our office who are very interested in getting involved in Veterans Court, and these are things that we want to put resources towards. Next, please. So it has been great for our office to work with all of the teams that are here and everything when it comes to these courts. You know, our biggest issue we have is transportation and getting these individuals, because it is a recurring court, and getting them in there. That's something that, you know, we bring up all the time. But as soon as we get the people into these programs, and I did Veterans Court for a little bit up in Arapahoe, it is so rewarding to see the progress that these individuals make. And especially you get to know them as a prosecutor, which is something that you don't often get to do with defendants, right? And so I think for our young attorneys and for Corey, this has been a really important part of their daily job. Next, please. Lastly, I just wanted to touch on the competency court. We have a training coming up on the 19th at the 8th Judicial District. They have an amazing competency court, which I'm sure all of you have heard about, where they actually have doctors come in on that first day and do the evaluation with the person there, which is huge, because so much that we've had issues with competency court is that these people don't go to their appointment, they don't get their evaluation, and then it stalls. So we're really going to try, from the DA's perspective, to model how if we get to a competency court here in the 23rd, how we want to do it the way that they do it. So we're going to work with them. You know, we think this would be a great idea, and it really is getting those doctors on board. So that's something we're going to work on. This is something, clearly, when you deal with a homeless population, you have tons of competency and mental health issues. So I think this would be great, and we look forward, if we can get this off the ground, to working with the HART team as well. So that's an overview of the new 23rd. Like I said, we're so excited, and look forward to working with all of you as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, that's a great presentation. Any questions for Darcy around JD 23?
Just a comment, as the sheriff, we saw an immediate overnight turnaround between the communication with the district attorney's office on the 18th and then the 23rd. Not only the sheriff's office, but the police departments within Douglas County. We had a lot of challenges with the 18th and lack of responsiveness. That ended overnight. And so just applause to them. I know it's going to take some time to get them fully up to speed just with a new agency like that, but nothing but kudos from law enforcement.
Well, I have to say, you know, anecdotally and based on personal experience, this district attorney and assistant district attorney, I mean, the energy, enthusiasm, competency, capability, and just drive to do the right thing is profound. So I'm not surprised by that overnight shift, and we are just so thankful for you and your leadership. You know, we've been talking for years here, or certainly with the ramp up to JD 23 around, you know, those problem solving courts and what that might look like. And I'm also the chair of the opioid council for our district in Douglas County. And, you know, we often hear from folks that, in fact, that one of the individuals who's involved with Step Denver got charged, and the judge gave that individual the opportunity to pursue sobriety. And he did, in lieu of incarceration and some other alternatives, and ended up being the director of this program. So, you know, when you think about things like, I mean, obviously, we have no interest in arresting our way out of homelessness. We want to build relationships, connections, help people transition to self-reliance. That's why Sasha and 80 Works is so critically important, Artie with housing. I mean, all of these amazing individuals at the table, Kristen with the Community Foundation, everybody here is committed to the success of humans in our community. So if someone were to be picked up for a typical charge associated with homelessness, if it was loitering, vagrancy, or there is public intoxication, how can you walk us through that process with your office?
Yeah, so as long as there is a criminal charge there, right, they're going to, you know, be arrested, see a judge the next day, and that will go into our county court system. If there are mental health issues, sobriety issues, those are going to be brought up by the public defender to our office and to the judge that we think that this is a good candidate for one of those courts. They then have to be screened, obviously, to get into those courts. And we're not going to have anyone with anything, violent going into those. They will get a bond, obviously, from the judge and be released. And then once they get accepted, it's a court that has a recurring court date, weekly or biweekly, depending on the court. And they have to actually show up and they talk to the judge. It's a great process, and they check in on them. How are you doing? How are you doing mental health wise? They're working with pretrial and probation. But it's an accountability court, in my opinion, and it's giving them a chance to get out of a bad decision that they made and get them the resources to get them back on track so that they don't end up, with something on their record, or they're sitting there just messing up on probation all the time. And they give chances. Absolutely. People do, mess up in those courts, but it's as if you have a judge, a prosecutor, and defense attorney there, and they're holding you accountable to really working on yourself. And so that's why I'm such a big proponent of them.
Well, it's exciting. I mean, for those that really seek to turn their lives around and just need that second chance, that's that great counterbalance to what you both are doing so well, which is kind of a no tolerance approach to crime and criminal activity. It seems as though this form of problem solving can alleviate dockets, can also streamline, create some efficiencies. I mean, obviously, it's super challenging when you get folks not showing up. And
absolutely, but they are very work intensive for the people that do it, and that's why I always say I have so much respect for the people that work through that, because it can be, you can put so much into a person and they just don't make it through, right? But the ones that do, and you can see the camaraderie with the defendants in those courts is extremely heartwarming. So it's a chance. It's an absolute chance, but that defendant has to buy in, and it's a lot of work and good work for the people that are part of those courts.
Awesome. Any other questions for Darcy? How about a huge round of applause for the Sweet Judicial District? Thank you for being here. So with that, we'll move on to an exciting piece in the agenda, the Help and Hope contribution. Who would like to? I know. I'll turn it over to Kirsten.
All right, thanks, guys. I will make this really quick. As the community foundation, we don't always get to be the boots on the ground and do the work that the Heart Team does, and of course that our nonprofits do, but we do get to give you guys money in order to be the boots on the ground. So that's really, really exciting. And I'm excited that we've gone fully through one cycle, and we are now presenting our second check to Help and Hope Center. And it is my goal this year to get through that cycle much quicker this year. We have not raised any more funds since the last time we chatted. However, we do have a Valentine's Day campaign happening currently. We have a post up on our social media. I actually think I will send that post to Jennifer if we can get that out to the whole team. And I think Valentine's Day is the best day that we can be promoting the Douglas County Has Heart Fund. So I really encourage you guys, if you can share that. If you don't have the time to put it on your own social media, just go to ours, share that out. I'll try and get you guys tagged and make it as easy as possible. But if there is ever a day to raise funds, we are $1,000 away from the next check, and that would be by far the quickest turnaround we've ever had. So if we can raise $1,000 tomorrow and we can share that on our next meeting, I think that would be an absolute total win. So that's my plug. And then the happy good part, are we gonna do a photo? Yeah.
Dan, do you want to talk a little bit about Help and Hope Center? I am putting you on the spot. And kind of the homeless services that you guys provide on a regular basis. And then we will do a photo.
Homeless? What? Oh, I'm just kidding. Yeah, hi. So thank you. I'm excited to receive our second check from the Douglas Has Heart Fund, and that's a very cool thing. Help and Hope Center turned 40 last year, and also had the most people come through our doors ever, almost 32,000. First time ever distributed over 1 million pounds of food. And over $500,000 in clothing and household items to folks. That along with emergency financial assistance for housing or for utilities. You asked earlier about if the immigration is affecting, and we have seen not homeless immigrants as much, but certainly many, many, many more immigrants, folks that are living multiple families in one house or apartment, that kind of thing. So that has been a big problem to deal with because the language barriers are significant, and we're just about to buy a translation device that looks very, very promising with actual screens on both sides, and so it prints and speaks the translation, which is hopefully it'll work. So homelessness, you know, we see those folks every day. We give them food, we give them supplies, we try to keep them warm. We give them hotel vouchers when the weather is like it is right now. We work very closely with Tiffany and the Heart team, back and forth all the time. And, you know, we're doing is everything that we can do to help. And it's I will say I've been really excited about this initiative, this homeless initiative in Douglas County, and the way that the agencies and law enforcement and all the different divisions work together. I think it's a unique thing, and it's very, very, very positive. I'm proud to be part of it. So thank you for this gift, and we will use it well.
How about a huge round of applause for helping out? Dan, you're such an amazing community partner, and you have been part of this homeless initiative from the beginning, and we're so honored to have you part of this team. And one thing I know about this group and our community is that with the 4 C's, we talk about, you know, communications, community services, code enforcement, and compassion. And the code enforcement has been a big part of our rhetoric, but obviously we do lead with compassion, and we want to be human-centric and focus on making sure that humans do well in our community, and you're such a big piece of that. And obviously our community foundation is just huge. We brag about Kirsten and her leadership all the time, but people often ask, what is the secret sauce with this homeless initiative? Heart is a big piece of it, no doubt, but also this campaign around handouts don't help, and Douglas County has heart. We've got, 69, 70 signs throughout the county, and we've asked our citizens, do not roll down your windows and give out money out your car door. That's not safe for you. It's not safe for the person receiving funds. Please give directly to our trusted community foundation, where we know all of those dollars can go directly out into the community. So this is that representation of those dollars coming in and going out to you. I know our new director of communications, Caroline, is here, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm guessing you're rapidly taking notes because you heard about that desire to maybe get out some information tomorrow, Valentine's Day, and increase those donations. I do have one question for you, Dan. We always like to do things well and then improve upon that, kind of build the plane as it's taking off. We never want to give you money that creates an administrative burden for you. So can you talk to us a little bit more around what amount would actually help you and would be appropriate for nonprofits? And if it makes more sense to direct some of these funds right to our Heart team or to the nonprofits?
Well, the amount is $250,000. if you.
Let's go.
Uh,
I like the goals. That's okay. Kirsten wrote it down.
These kinds of gifts don't create an administrative burden at all. And generally for us, these kind of gifts will go towards food purchase. That's our main source of assistance that we offer for folks, because if they can, get groceries for free, they can spend what money they would normally spend on groceries on whatever else they're dealing with. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the program. It's great.
Okay, good. Jen, any other questions for Dan or the Community Foundation? Okay, Jen.
Okay, I think we would like to take a photo, take this opportunity to do that. Drew's here, so if I could have the executive committee come up and the heart team come up. We'll take a quick photo. Everybody come up.
Edit this later to take off some weight. I love the good news. Kind of in between a little bit. Share. Take a step back. And then you call. All right, here we go. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Cool. Thanks. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I did. I'm like looking at my notes over here, like that's not my writing. Great. Well, it's always so nice to give resources to such a trusted and good steward of community dollars. So thank you for that. So with that, we'll move on to executive committee member updates. We'd love to hear from any of you that might have an update for us in your respective fields. Yeah, Sean.
Just a quick update since I'm passing the torch along is that over the course of the last year, I've done 97 transports, but we have been heavily involved with problem-solving courts over in the 18th, and then as we made the big move over here to the 23rd, there was 81 individuals in those problem-solving courts that came over. March 12th is a Tuesday, I believe. Recovery Court is having a large graduation of some of those folks, so any of you that would like to see part of the graduation is that they give a speech kind of as to what has come about and what has helped turn it around. So I would encourage you guys to go over to Division B and see Judge Baum and attend that graduation. Those individuals that do change their lives, they literally walk out lots of times from the jail with nothing but the clothing on their backs. So to watch them change their lives and have a place to live and employment, and they have gotten sober and done tremendous amounts of therapy and work on themselves is such an honor to be a part of. So I would suggest on March 12th that you all go take a look, and I know Judge Baum would be super excited to have any of you there to see all of that.
I will be there. That sounds great.
Sean, can you make sure and send that to us, and we'll make sure and get that invitation circulated to everyone? Okay, great.
And congratulations on your huge success. Thank you for doing all of that great work. Good. Any additional committee member updates? Yes. Sasha. We always love hearing from Sasha. She's got all the good statistics and detail.
Well, I have some exciting events to update everybody about. So again, Sasha Easton, Arapahoe Douglas Works. And we're excited to announce that our Money Matters Financial Literacy Workshop is now being hosted at the ACC STERM campus at Castle Rock. And it's both being offered virtually and in person. And so you could find information on our website. You can connect with my colleague, Sasha Larson. It's not a requirement to be named Sasha at Arapahoe Douglas Works, but she oversees all of our job seeker career services. And we also have additional information on our website and some flyers here as well. And then also, two really exciting career fairs coming up. So Arapahoe Douglas Works, Douglas County School District, and ACC are partnering for a job fair at the ACC STERM campus here in Castle Rock on April 3rd. So that is open to the public. We do priority of service for our veterans, but you could find additional details on that on that event on our website, or you could connect with our business services manager, Jamie Fisher. And then we also have a job fair in partnership with Douglas County School District, and it's solely for Douglas County students. And that's going to be on February 28th at the Legacy campus. So some really great events for individuals in your life that may need career navigation, job search support, and also we have our one-on-one services as well that you could access at any time.
Awesome. Thank you, Sasha. You know, we often say here, and I know Ruby's a champion of this, that the best form of welfare is a job. That's one of the great ways that you can really move towards self-reliance. For those that are listening who may not be familiar with Arapahoe Douglas Works, could you walk us through, so if somebody that the Heart team encounters out on the streets is saying, you know, I lost my job, I've got a couple of kids, I don't know how to get to that next paycheck to save my house or my rent, how would they best connect with you, and how would that coordination happen?
So we have a variety of methods that an individual can access our services. So they could walk in. We have 6 locations, brick and mortar locations throughout Arapahoe and Douglas counties. And they could walk in without an appointment and see a workforce specialist and have one-on-one support on their career navigation, getting resources for their basic needs. They could also schedule an appointment with a career navigator on our website. That's available on demand at their convenience. We also have a referral form, so for community partners, that community partners can refer participants to our organization. And then, of course, you could always call. We have a call center that staffs our calls during business hours, Monday through Friday. And really, I think we have a variety of services. So we have Discovering Arapahoe Douglas Works, which is an orientation to our programs and services. That's a great first step for individuals that are interested in our services. And we work hand in hand with Tiffany and her team, and we'll refer individuals to them, and they'll refer individuals to us. But we have a variety of programming for individuals with eligibility that can access reskilling, upskilling, next skilling in industry recognized credentials, work-based learning and apprenticeship. We do offer supportive services for those that may need it and that do qualify. So really a whole host of services. And then, of course, we work with our business and industry community to help them have the talent pipeline that they need to be successful. And so we really do both kind of ends of that employment aspect.
That's awesome. I hope you take this as a compliment. I feel like anytime I ask you a question, it's like ChatGPT. It's like perfectly detailed, comprehensive, exactly what I need to hear. Thank you so much.
Well, hopefully
And thank
not
you for
robotic, or maybe that's something.
No,
I need
you're
to
like
work
the human version of exactly what we need. I appreciate that. Okay, any other executive committee updates? Looking around. Okay. Okay, so with that, and I know we do have our new executive director, Paula Diaz from Family Tree. I don't know if you had I don't mean to put you on the spot, but since you're here, I didn't know if you wanted to share anything with us.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you for the warm. Sorry, just making sure it's turning on. No, honestly, great to meet you all. Just to provide some context, definitely appreciate the work that you guys are doing over in at Douglas County and the partnerships that have existed between Douglas County and Family Tree. I have been in this new CEO role with Family Tree just for the past month. Prior to that, I did work in Adams County, working on the homelessness initiatives in Adams County. I was there for about 6.5 years, and now I'm back into the nonprofit sector. So in terms of goals, I know that you guys have been partnering with goals for a few years now. And with that, there's really no big updates that I believe you guys haven't heard yet. I know you guys are still contributing to 5 rooms. We do have a couple families over there that's occupying 3 of the rooms. And look forward to continuing the conversation in ways that we can continue to work together. So I'm excited to join this group. I would be there in person to meet you all in person. However, I do have a flight early afternoon that I have to get to, so I'll be leaving later this morning. But I am open to any and all questions that you might have, whether now or later.
Wow. Well, again, congratulations on your new role, and thank you for spending some time with us. We're so excited to continue this partnership. And boy, that ribbon cutting was just, gave me goosebumps seeing those rooms for sure. Maybe we can get those last 6 over there in some level, or at least a few that would qualify. Any questions for Family Tree? Okay, again, thank you so much. Safe travels.
Thank you. Appreciate you all.
Okay, you too. So with that, we'll move to Heart. Tiffany.
Thank you, Commissioner. Tiffany Marcito with the Heart Team. We can go ahead with that first slide. So we changed up a little bit of our reporting for the homeless initiative. So we welcome any feedback. If there's anything that you all feel that we need to add in here, please let me know, and we can certainly modify that as needed. So this first slide is just a summary of what I'll be going over. We wanted to highlight that we enrolled 40 new clients into the HEART program. We received 226 referrals. 30 clients exited our program. We had 12 business engagements. The activity that we participated in last month, 2 presentations at some churches, one in Highlands Ranch and one in Parker. We completed the Point in Time and also participated in the Strive to Thrive event. I wanted to talk a little bit before we move on with the business engagements. So what our teams do when they're out in the community and they see some activity around businesses, whether that's somebody panhandling or camping behind the business, we'll go inside, reach out to the manager in charge, and then just let them know about the activity that's happening in and around their property. Also, trying to get information on who owns the property, so our sheriff's deputies can kind of let them know what the process is regarding trespass letters. And then the navigator goes in to talk about the services that HEART can provide to people who are in need. We talk about the Handouts Don't Help campaign. We have paper copies, they're colored, of the HEART signs. So if a business would like to either put a sign in their window or have a sign installed, the HEART navigators will go over the process of how to do that. And we really talk about the Douglas Has Heart campaign, trying to help educate the business community, especially about the redirection of generosity to have those funds go toward organizations like our nonprofits and the homeless initiative to help those in need. So I just wanted to provide a little bit of background on that. And we do have a tracking sheet now. So we're able to kind of track the ongoing process from start to finish of our initial contact with the business, and then see that through with the completion of a trespass letter and the Handouts Don't Help sign. So really proud of that, that tracking mechanism that we have now. So we're excited to report on that each month. All right, we can go on the next slide. So like I said, we had 40 new enrollments in the HARP program last month. In December, we had 19, and then January of last year, we had 31 new enrollments. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, there you go.
Okay, I'll talk about the story in just a sec. I just want to make sure we get through this data. So next slide. So these are the enrollments month after month, beginning of February of last year through January of this year. Definitely months where we've had spikes, and some months, especially in the summer, last year in July, we only had 11 enrollments. So it kind of ebbs and flows, like Rand was talking about. We see, the corridor of I-25. People want to stick around for a bit, and then they find their way out of town, and we can help with that. And the next slide really goes over the services that we're providing. So 53 households received one or more service last month. 40 households received one or more service in December, and then 39 last January. And then this is a sum of all the services that were provided to each of the households. And as you can see, January, we had a very high amount of services that were provided to individuals. And we contribute that to the inclement weather that we received the weekend of January 17th. So we really wanted to make sure that those who were unsheltered in our community get to a safe, warm spot, whether that would be to a shelter or the use of a motel voucher. Could have been from us or a nonprofit agency. But I also really wanted to highlight a big thank you to our nonprofits, because we wouldn't have been able to provide as much services in January without your assistance. So really appreciate everyone coming together to make sure people were safe and out of the cold last month. And then the next slide depicts the call types that we received by location. So we received 226 call types. So referrals, that could be somebody calling our HEART hotline from law enforcement, also our referral forms from community partners, and also on our website. Highlands Ranch was at 29%, Parker 23%, Castle Rock 19%, Lone Tree 15%, Englewood 2%, Out of County 3%, and Castle Pines 9%. And then also wanted to highlight those exit outcomes. So like I stated, 30 clients were exited. 40% were exited to permanent housing. So that was pretty huge last month. 30% temporary housing, so that could be transitional housing. It could be temporarily staying with a family member or friend. No contact, 10%. So 10% of those 30 clients we were unable to locate. No contact over the course of 2 months, so we ended up needing to close them out. 10% wished to remain homeless, verified that they were out of county, and 10% were referred to a shelter of their choosing and closed out due to that shelter exit. So I'll go back to my story real quick. Just really wanted to praise Greg Matthews. He's one of our navigators here. He received a call from Parker Police Department of a male that was about to be evicted. So him and his law enforcement partner, Luke, went over to the residence, chatted with the male for a little bit, assessed what his needs are, what his barriers have been, and determined that he was a veteran. He was disconnected from VA services. So Greg quickly enrolled him onto our veteran by name list, which triggers the VA to be involved in the case. And so he was able to connect him with VA services through, like I said, the VA, Volunteers of America, Rocky Mountain Human Services, those regional partners that specialize in with the vets. And after months, I'm talking months, Greg worked very hard. He was actually housed last month in Douglas County through some funds that were federal funds specifically set aside for vets that these regional partners are able to distribute. So Greg checked in with that client. He continues to engage with his case manager at that veterans office, and he's thriving in his new home. So we wanted to end on a positive note.
Any questions for Hart? I'm always thinking about, begin with the end in mind. Obviously, we want to get as close to functional zero as we can, including the folks that are camping in vehicles. What is the secret sauce with the vehicle camping? And you talked a little bit about working with the business community. I think that's obviously a huge part of it. But what do we need to focus on?
Yeah, so we are also tracking that. We're really trying to work hard with DCHI to make sure that we have reporting in some different modules that we're tracking those parking lots with in our database. But we are working closely with our local municipalities. So when our teams are going around to the parking lots early in the morning and we see individuals camping in their vehicles, we're making contact with them. If they are refusing to leave or better their situation, they don't want to engage in resources, to help get themselves out of the vehicle, we'll bring in the local law enforcement officials. They're the ones that can determine whether or not the individual is committing a crime on that private property. And honestly, sometimes it takes a little push from law enforcement for somebody to actually be motivated to change. Specifically, the individual that Rand was talking about who was under the bridge for 2.5 years. He didn't want to engage with us, even our law enforcement partners. So I think he reached his breaking point, and sometimes people need to do that in order to kind of start taking some steps. But we're definitely working with our law enforcement partners. We're working with the businesses to try to tackle the issue with people camping on private property specifically. And I really think it's important that our team is engaging with these businesses because sometimes they don't open until 9. So by that time, somebody's already gone and left, and they had no idea that they had that much activity in their parking lots overnight.
Are these people that are literally, would they be categorized as unsheltered homeless, or are you also getting people that are just passing through the county that are spending the night and maybe headed on somewhere else?
Both.
Both, okay.
Yes, we have made contact with individuals. They're like, I just needed a place to park overnight, rest for a few hours, and then get on my way. We ask them if they need some assistance. Some have needed assistance with gas. And, we can assist with that or refer to a nonprofit who provides gas cards and food so they can, get on their way. But yes, we've seen both. Specifically, if somebody is I'm just going to use Highlands Ranch as an example. If somebody is sleeping in their vehicle in Highlands Ranch, they may have family in the area. That necessarily doesn't have enough room for them to bunk with them in their apartment or home. So they really have no choice except to sleep in their vehicles, except, to engage with us to try to, help get them out of that situation. But yes, we're kind of seeing both of those populations.
Well, and for the benefit of this group, we made a historic investment with our Douglas County Economic Development Corporation, and Ellie Reynolds is doing a great job. Particularly here, I think coordinating with you all, making sure you have contacts within the business community. But at the swearing in, we were actually approached by a group of individuals very concerned about people leaving places like Target and Home Depot with big grocery carts and not being charged. Nobody is calling the police, and they're just allowed to walk out. And in many respects, that can sometimes be a corporate policy of just, we're going to just let them go on their way. But I know that's a part and parcel of probably the public safety component and the work with these businesses. Sheriff?
Yes, the chiefs of police, myself, and the district attorney's office is kind of reforming a retail theft group. We're going to be reaching out to these corporations, to all of these businesses. Obviously, we don't expect for these businesses to get involved in the apprehension or anything else. We don't want to put anybody in jeopardy, but we're going to let them know and make sure that they're aware of the repercussions if they don't. And so if we have somebody that's coming into Douglas County, whether it be a big box store like Best Buy, Home Depot, whatever, and they know that they're not going to suffer any consequences, for walking out with a $300 drill or whatever, they're coming back. And they might bring their friends with them. And so, again, the chiefs, myself, the DA, we're going to be getting together, having a very public campaign with these businesses to ensure that they do call us, they do let us know so we can keep it out of Douglas County. Also, those that we do catch, they're going to jail. And they do have to see a judge. So in other jurisdictions where they may get scratched a ticket and get sent on their way, that's not going to occur in Douglas County.
That's fantastic. And I know we've asked Jeff Garcia, our county attorney, to look at an ordinance or resolution, any coordination we can have with the business community that would require or encourage them to contact law enforcement if they witness somebody leaving with goods without paying for them. Because you make a good point. If they think they can do it here, they'll do it again. So that's really helpful. And obviously, we're going to be pushing a little bit more on our business community with regard to the overnight parking. That's great. Okay, so thank you. Any other questions for Hart? I'm going to open it up for public comment. And before I do that, I wanted to recognize we have some really important individuals in the audience out here, one of which is Cody from Parker United Methodist, part of our faith-based community, and I really appreciate you being here. We all are very thankful for the faith-based community. I know I called out Artie already with our housing authority. We want you guys at this table. So I hope to see you up here next time. But let me open it up for any public comment. Is there any public comment in the room? Okay, seeing none, I'll open it up to any public comment online. Not seeing any. Quiet group today. Well, we do welcome public comment and believe that iron sharpens iron. We want to continue to refine and improve to get as close to that functional zero number as possible. I think we've had a great meeting today, and we're closing up right at time. So thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. And happy Valentine's Day.